Welcome back to Explorcation and to the 12th episode of What's New St. Pete. It is a gorgeous spring day here downtown, and like usual, we have a bunch of new spots to take you to.
Now I do gotta mention we got some pretty big news we're gonna share with you a little bit later, but for now we got a bakery to take you to. Our first stop of this episode is Adieu Glu, which is French for goodbye gluten.
It is a 100% gluten-free bakery that is committed to serving St. Pete's gluten-free community.
Now neither of us are actually gluten-free, but we do love baked goods, and I think we're both pretty excited to see how these compare to the ones we're used to.
The first thing we noticed when entering this artisan bakery was the wonderful aromas of freshly baked bread, but the unique decor and warm atmosphere had us both pretty impressed as well. But we were still a bit skeptical of how these baked goods would actually taste, and to make an accurate judgment, we decided that we'd better try a few of them.
So we couldn't decide on just one bagel, but they have bagel bites. So we got one of each, and I think there's a total of 6. So we have got, I think, 4 savory ones in here and 2 sweet ones here. We also wanted to try one of their muffins. And this is the cutest little carrier for a muffin that I think we've ever seen. And I thought we had enough, but Skylar really wanted a cookie. So we also have 1 peanut butter cookie. I'm gonna try a couple of these bagel bites first. You know, we don't eat a lot of bagels, so like I don't know if somebody gave me this, I don't think I would know that it was gluten-free. I mean, it's good. But I do want to try one of the sweet ones too. I think this is the blueberry one, and this is probably the one I was most excited to try. Look at that.
Oh wow, it's got a lot of blueberry in it.
After patiently filming me trying my first gluten-free bagels, Skylar decided to give the poppy seed bagel a try.
So I would say the texture is a little bit different than a typical bagel. Not in a bad way, just different, but the flavor is excellent. Next I'm gonna try the sea salt. Very salty, but I love salt, so very good. So after trying all of those bagels, there wasn't one that I didn't like, but I gotta say my favorite was that blueberry one because it was just full of blueberries and it was a little bit sweet. But next I'm gonna try this peanut butter cookie, which I'm sure is gonna be really sweet. So it's not overly sweet, but it's like the perfect blend of sweet and salty. And I would say the texture of this cookie is actually better than the typical peanut butter cookie. I'm gonna eat all of this.
So this is a carrot cake muffin with, I think, a maple walnut glaze. Ta-da! Yeah, that's a really good muffin. The cinnamon flavor really comes through in the muffin. I really like the bite with the glaze because it adds a little more sweetness to it.
How's the texture compared to a normal muffin?
I think it's a little different, but again, like not in a bad way. It is very good. Now, Skylar raved about that cookie so much, I have to give it a try as well. He keeps eating it though, so there's not much of it left.
Good cookie, right?
Oh yeah. Wow. I'm so glad we got this cookie. We just left Adieu Glu, and overall, everything we tried we were really impressed with. We learned that the owner uses her own special blend of gluten-free flour, which is likely why the texture isn't so grainy and why people rave about this place.
Now, I really enjoyed the flavor of everything that we tried, but what really surprised me was that I actually enjoyed the texture of both the muffin and the cookie better than your typical ones. Now, I will say that the texture of those bagel bites is definitely not the same texture of your typical New York style bagel, but I did really enjoy the bagels as well, especially that blueberry one.
Our second St. Pete stop takes us 2 miles east to the Tampa Bay shoreline, where within the magnificent Mahaffey Theater, you'll find St. Pete's newest spot for fine dining at Sonata. As you'd probably expect from a restaurant located within the beautiful Mahaffey Theater, the atmosphere at Sonata is quite impressive.
We are here at Sonata, which currently offers lunch and dinner 6 days a week, but on the weekends they do offer a brunch menu, which is what we're here for.
Now, if you visit the Sonata's website, you may see that they advertise having the best views in all of downtown St. Pete. Now, that's a pretty bold claim and one that we definitely had to verify for ourselves, but as you can see, the views are pretty great. Now I feel like I should probably address this massive moon behind me as well. It is a 23-foot wide fabric sculpture that actually lights up at night.
Now we came here for lunch because it is a little bit more budget friendly, but if you have a larger budget or maybe you're visiting for a special occasion, we would highly recommend coming here for dinner, especially after dark, so you can see the moon glow.
Now, as much as we were enjoying the giant moon and the bayfront views, it was our food orders that we were looking forward to the most.
So I went with the lobster Benny, which comes with 2 croquettes that are stuffed with lobster, mac and cheese, blue crab, and crawfish. It also has crawfish etouffee on top of it, as well as poached egg, bacon, and a sauce. It also comes with a side of home fries.
And I went with the brunch witch because the picture of it online looked amazing, and our waiter shared that they make their sausage in-house, so we absolutely had to get a dish with their in-house sausage.
Now, we've tried a lot of good food in this series, but I don't know if I've ever been as excited as I am to try this thing. That is amazing.
What flavors stick out to you?
Well, that bite had a huge chunk of lobster in it, and it's very good lobster. I think my next bite, I'm gonna try to get more of the croquette though. Yeah, I can taste the crab in that croquette. That bite tasted completely different from the first one, but equally delicious. What do you think of the Benny?
Oh my gosh. Like, all the different flavors are so good. That croquette with, was it mac and cheese and all the different seafood? Wow, they've done this very well. Now, this sandwich was a little bit bigger than I was expecting. That house sausage is very flavorful and delicious, but I also want to point out that whatever kind of sauce they have in this sandwich is excellent. Definitely recommend.
Now, normally you have to choose between sausage and bacon on your breakfast sandwich. I love the fact that this one comes with both. It's definitely not easy to eat, but it does taste amazing.
Good morning. It is another beautiful day here in downtown St. Pete, and we have another weekend brunch spot to take you to. But this spot also incorporates 2 of our favorite things, which is locally roasted coffee and locally brewed beer. So we'll see you inside.
Our love for brunch, beer, and coffee took us to the brand new King State at the corner of 8th Street and 1st Avenue North, where inside we found a cool 70s diner vibe, a well-stocked bar, lots of comfortable seating, coffee, and beer.
Now, we have no idea if we're going to be able to use this audio because while we do enjoy the music here, it is quite loud, but we're going to give it a try. So I went with their latte with house-made vanilla syrup, and it is really, really delicious. We would highly recommend trying something with their house-made vanilla syrup. We also ordered an everything bagel scone. They have an in-house baker. It sounds like the scone options change, but today it is everything bagel, and we're really excited to give it a try.
Now, I can also confirm that Jamie's vanilla latte is excellent, but I went with a King State beer. Now, this one is actually their porter that's brewed with King State coffee, so it's kind of like a beer and a coffee together. Now, I also want to mention that you can get some of the Brutalist beers here as well. You may remember we visited the Brutalist in a prior What's New episode. Unfortunately, that brewery has closed, but for those of you who love the Brutalist beers like we did, you can get a few of them here at King State. That is a good beer. That is a good beer.
Now, we went with one of the more unique menu items, which is the chilaquiles, but we wanted to point out that they do offer more traditional options like avocado toast, breakfast sandwiches, chicken and waffles, things like that. Now, the scone was a great recommendation from our waitress. The everything flavoring isn't too overpowering, and there's actually a little bit of sweetness in this scone as well. And while it is crumbly, it is not at all dry.
So after that amazing brunch that we had at Sonata yesterday, I was a little bit concerned that this brunch could be a bit disappointing in comparison, but that was not the case whatsoever. These chilaquiles were absolutely amazing. The chorizo on them had just the right amount of spice, and that green salsa was fantastic as well. So we just left King State, and we loved everything about that place, from the retro vibes to the coffee and the beer. Now, we knew the coffee and beer were going to be good, but I think we were both really surprised by how good the food was as well, so we would definitely recommend checking that place out.
Now, after King State, we wanted to stop by our apartment in order to have a quiet place to share the announcements that Skylar mentioned earlier in this episode. Now, if you joined us last week on our live stream, then you already know that I have put my notice in at my job. And by the time you watch this episode, I'll only have a few more days until I will be joining Skylar full-time creating content.
Now the other big announcement is that we are starting a brand new YouTube channel called Jamie and Skylar, and that channel is going to be focused primarily around our adventures here in St. Pete and in the Tampa Bay area. And because we're now able to travel so much more often and have so much more flexibility, we're taking Explorcation beyond the Tampa Bay area, and we're going to be focusing much more on cruising, resorts, and traveling to other parts of Florida, the US, and the world.
Now we still wanted a way to bring you all St. Pete content as well as behind the scenes content of Explorcation, and we figured the best way to do that would be to start a separate channel. Now the content on our new channel, it is going to be quite a bit different from our typical content. It's going to be a lot less edited, a lot more raw, and more of just what our day-to-day lives are like living in Florida when we're not filming for Explorcation.
Now that will still involve visiting the occasional new business here around downtown St. Pete, but more often it'll probably involve us visiting some not so new businesses that we just really enjoy. So if that sounds like something you're at all interested in, we do ask that you head over to the new channel Jamie and Skylar and subscribe.
Now we will leave a link to that new channel in the video description, and also we will put the very first video from that channel at the end of this episode. But for now, it is time to go to our 4th new spot, so we'll see you there.
Our next new St. Pete spot takes us back to the east part of downtown St. Pete, where at 30 Beach Drive, you'll find Kaia Bowls. If you're enjoying this video so far, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and let us know what your favorite new St. Pete business is in the comments. Now this business is in the old Naples Soap Company location, and it is one of 4 locations. There's also one in Clearwater, Clearwater Beach, and Safety Harbor. We do want to point out this is a great spot if you're looking for vegan food because they have plant-based shrimp, salmon, beef, chicken, and even tofu. I went with their signature ahi tuna bowl, which has a variety of fresh veggies and a ponzu sauce. Oh yeah, the ponzu sauce is really good, and I also really like these dehydrated beets on it.
Now there are quite a few places in St. Pete that do acai and pitaya bowls, but this place also offers a few other unique bases such as coconut, banana berry, and even passion fruit. And since I love passion fruit, I had to try one of the passion fruit bases. This also has kiwi, strawberry, banana, and almond slivers on top. That is really good. I would say I prefer it over both pitaya and acai because passion fruit is really tart, but the stuff on top of it is quite sweet, so it balances really well.
Now before we move on to our next St. Pete spot, we should mention that Kaia Bowls also offers a smoothie menu and is open 7 days a week.
Now after those bowls, we have one more spot to show you today. We are walking back to our apartment because we're gonna have to hop in our car to take you there. We're heading just north of downtown to take you to St. Pete's newest brewery.
Located around 2 miles north of downtown St. Pete and operating out of a former gas station, Golden Isles brings another unique addition to the St. Pete brewing scene.
So Golden Isles does brew some of their own beers, but they only got 4 of their own brews on tap tonight, and the rest are guest taps, which I actually kind of love because their guest taps are from some really good breweries across Florida and the US that you're probably not going to find anywhere else around here. Now, I did start off with one of their own brews. This is their double IPA, and they do give free samples here, so I already tried this one and can already tell you it's amazing.
Now they also have a local kombucha on tap. Tonight it's a blueberry one from Beach, which I have had before, so I know it's really good. But we also wanted to share that they do typically have food trucks here. Tonight they actually have 2. And if you're just looking for a snack, they sell Sunshine City popcorn. Now we visited them in our last What's New episode and can confirm that that popcorn is delicious. Now of course, Skylar had to go back for a second beer. I'm sure he'll come back and tell us what he's ordered. Oh, looks like he went with a darker beer this time. What is it?
Baltic Porter.
Says it's a Baltic Porter.
So that first beer I had, the double IPA, was a really good balance of hoppy and fruity. Now this beer is a Baltic Porter. It's from Winter Garden, Florida, and this is another favorite style of beer of mine. These are known for being very malty. Okay, now that is also another really good beer, but I would say I prefer the porter I had at King State earlier today a little bit more, but between the IPA I had from Golden Isles and the porter I had from King State, that one is probably a toss-up.
Now, after all the delicious food and drinks that we tried over the weekend, we decided to give ourselves a few days to build our appetites back up, and that's part of the reason why we're back out here in the Grand Central District on a Wednesday.
The other reason is that our final new St. Pete business has a Wednesday night special that we've been wanting to try for a couple of months now. But before we take you there, we got another new food and drink spot to hit that has a whole lot of 80s and 90s nostalgia.
Located at 1756 Central Avenue, the Neon Lunchbox will take you back to the time of perms, mullets, synthesizers, and of course, lots of neon. We found the walls to be adorned with some of our favorite 80s and 90s games, along with characters from some of our favorite 80s and 90s TV shows and movies. While we were quite impressed with all of the art in the Neon Lunchbox, Skylar's favorite was easily this mural of the Lost Boys, one of his all-time favorite movies.
So we're here at the Neon Lunchbox during their soft opening. They don't have all of their menu items available, but they do have some really great ones to choose from. So I went with their Italian gnocchi salad. It's got a spinach base with a bunch of veggies, fried gnocchi, smoked Gouda, and Italian dressing. The gnocchi is crunchy but soft in the middle. The smoked Gouda is delicious, and the Italian dressing is very flavorful.
Now, before I tell you about this sandwich that I ordered, I gotta mention these chips. The sandwich actually came with about twice as many chips as you see right now, but me and Jamie have both been snacking on them. They're covered in powdered sugar and some sort of spice, so they're a little sweet, a little spicy, and a little salty, and they're some of the best chips we have ever had. So the sandwich that I ordered is called the muffletta sandwich, I think. Apparently it's some sort of a traditional New Orleans style sandwich. And believe it or not, this is only a half order. So if you order a full sandwich, it's gonna take up this entire plate. Now, the main reason I ordered it is because it's covered in some sort of olive tapenade, and I love olives, so I'm pretty excited to try this thing. My guess is that you're supposed to use that knife to cut this into more manageable pieces, but I am gonna try to just take a bite of it. If you are an olive lover like I am, you are gonna love this sandwich. It's messy though.
Now, one of the owners here said one of his favorite menu items is actually their creamed corn, so we had to give it a try. So it's cheesy and creamy, but not too heavy. I really like it.
Now, after eating this big of a lunch, we typically would pass on dessert, but after seeing this amazing looking pistachio-covered gelato, we decided we'd have to make an exception. And while this meal was nothing short of fantastic before the gelato, the delightfully sweet and creamy dessert truly put it over the top.
Having grown up in the 80s and 90s, the Neon Lunchbox brought back so many childhood memories. And while it was the atmosphere that brought us into that place, it's the food and the live music that's gonna keep us coming back.
Now, soon they are going to be getting their liquor license and be hosting live music with theme nights. So be sure you're following them on Facebook and Instagram so you stay in the know on their upcoming events.
After eating and drinking your way through St. Pete, you might be ready to take a break and try something new. And for that, we're heading just a half mile east to the Edge District, where at 1128 Central Avenue, you'll find the Candle Pour. The St. Pete location is the Candle Pour's third, with the other two located across the bay in Tampa. My custom candle experience began by choosing from a huge list of fragrances and allowed me to smell as many as I wanted while circling a few of my favorites along the way. The scents range from sweet and fruity to fresh and earthy, and with well over 100 to choose from, they surely offer a scent for everyone. I learned that most of the oils are made in-house, and after smelling a good portion of them, I eventually settled on 8 of my favorites. Next, it was time to choose a glass cylinder, and for the staff to work their magic by reviewing my fragrance profile and grouping 3 of my favorite fragrances together for me. My first grouping was sugar cookie, banana nut bread, and cake batter, which I can assure you smelled divine, but I was in the mood for something different, and my second grouping included eucalyptus, honeydew melon, and black currant. After smelling them individually and then all together, we decided to swap out honeydew for bluegrass, and that was my perfect combination. Next, it was time for me to mix the fragrances. During the experience, you get to decide exactly how much of each fragrance to include, and you even get to name your candle creation. Then it's time for the staff to pour the wax into the cylinder and for you to pour your unique blend of oils into your candle. It does take around 2 hours for the candle to set, so you can either come back later in the day or pick it up at a later date. Now, if you don't have time to pour your own candle creation, all the candles in the store are for sale, so you can purchase candles that are already made, which includes signature seasonal collections.
Our Wednesday night dinner spot brings us here to Cage Brewery, which some of you may remember us visiting in a prior episode on this channel.
But that was long before the addition of Kracken Joe's Pizza, which brings brick oven pizzas as well as a variety of other food options to Cage. Now on Wednesday nights from 5 to 9 p.m., you can get their wings for $1 a piece with the purchase of a beer.
Now normally I try not to drink alcohol during the week, but when the wing special requires the purchase of a beer, I'm happy to take one for the team.
Now, while we had come for the wing deal and the beer, we decided that we couldn't visit Kracken Joe's without trying one of their brick oven pizzas as well. Before we knew it, both our pizza and our wings were ready, and we couldn't wait to give them a try.
Time to try one of these wings. It's got some really good crisp to it, even though it's not breaded, and the natural hot flavor is really good. A little bit of spice, but not too much. I think you'll be able to eat them just fine.
While I was able to handle the heat of the wings, it was the pizza that I was most excited to try.
So we ordered a margarita pizza and added prosciutto. That's a good pizza.
So we gotta say that Kracken Joe's is a great addition to what was already one of our favorite spots around downtown St. Pete, and that Wednesday night wing special is one of the best specials you're gonna find in the area.
Now after 3 years of bringing you this series, as well as other St. Pete content, this is probably gonna be the last St. Pete episode you're gonna find on this channel, at least for a while. We are not done exploring St. Pete or sharing our adventures, but in order to see those and to see behind the scenes content of Explorcation, you will have to head over to our brand new channel, Jamie and Skylar. And you can actually watch the very first episode on it by clicking here right now. Thanks for watching.